John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, in love with Aslan, and also some arrow weaving. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
And hold. Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with a big old little green head in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and also some random other geeky films. And sometimes I'm not reviewing a film at all, like this episode. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents the Gamma Analysis. So I ask everyone listening, if you please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast to all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now let's smash right into this episode. Today, we're going to read and react to the second half of the original mature Scooby-Doo 2002 script that we were originally supposed to get with my friend and Mari Does Horror from TikTok. How you doing, Mari?
I'm doing pretty good.
Before we get into the is there anything like you're hoping for or in this second half of the script?
To be honest, I feel like when we started the first half, I was expecting it to be somewhat similar to what they did in the actual movie, but I was so blown away by all of the changes that they made that I have no idea what the second half has in store.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. One thing I think is going to be very interesting when we get to it is so because of how this script really portrays is Fred as a creep. I'm very curious how it's gonna play out the scene from the movie where they had the body switch and I'm like, it very much changes the view of that scene. When Fred says, "I could look at myself naked," if he's this massive creep.
Yeah, because in the movie, the way that they portrayed it was like, oh, it's so funny, goofy, silly, like we get it, it's like an adult joke. But now it's like with the added context that we have of what the script was supposed to be, it's like not great.
A sign that I kind of find interesting, though, thinking about that scene is like with how Fred is not just really creepy, he's also very self-obsessed.
Yeah,
I kind of wonder if actually in that scene it wasn't meant to be him saying that he can look at Daphne's body, and more of he was like, I get to look at my own body from the perspective of someone else, just because he's so self-obsessed.
I never thought of it that way.
Which would be so crazy if that's what was actually the original intent.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. All right. All right. So I'll do this first page and then you do the next page and so on and so forth. So, demons in the distance, head in a single file away from the inn. Unconscious students are slung over their shoulders. The inn itself is in terrible condition, with shattered windows, doors, and huge holes in walls. Shaggy says, they can't see us. I guess we're safe for the time being. Daphne says, alrighty, so we need to figure out a way to defeat the demons and then save Fred and Velma. Shaggy he says, that's sort of like my plan, which was to get the heck out of here. and let the demons eat Fred and Velma. Scooby opens his bag of Scooby snacks. Acts. The bag is filled with water. He chews one and gets a sour expression. He looks at Shaggy, who is dialing his phone, and Shaggy says, "You can't eat those. They're soaked in chlorine." This is upset Scooby. A single tear falls down his face. Daphne says, "What are you doing?" Shaggy says, "I'm calling the cops." Daphne says, "Wait, we don't need the cops. Fred and Velma always figured out everything. Now it's our turn. For the first time, they're the damsels in distress, not me." Shaggy says, as Daphne, "You just were the damsel in distress. I saved you." Daphne's lip quivers with this realization. She slumps to the ground against the boulder. Daphne says, "Oh, crap. It's my destiny. I'm trapped in an endless, vicious cycle of being captured and saved."
So then it says, Shaggy looks at his phone. "I'd like to report like a kidnapping," to Daphne. "Get some rest. We'll wait here." Scooby eats his Scooby snacks with a disgusted look on his face, weeping. Fade to Spooky Island, dawn. The sun peeks over the tropical fun park, bleaching away the terror of the night before. Raymondo, you the ones called in the kidnapping? Hotel in Boulder. Shaggy and Daphne blink themselves awake. Hard-bitten Lieutenant Raimondo and fresh-faced Officer Fitzgibbon stand over them. Scooby is writing something on the rock. Raimondo, Lieutenant Emilio Raimondo, U.S. Coast Guard. This is Officer Fitzgibbon. I'm Daphne Blake. Shaggy Rogers. Scooby pokes Raimondo. He points at the equation he's written in the dust of the rock. 12 plus 7 equals 3.14159265358898. Raimondo, way off. Raimondo reads his notebook. So what's up?
Shaggy says, "Like last night, there were these demons here, and they like smashed up the hotel." Raimondo looks beyond the boulder, or at the Holiday Inn, and it's in perfect condition. The shattered windows, the smashed doors, and the tattered awnings are now new and clean. Shaggy stares at it in shock. He moves towards it. Raimondo says, "Looks all right now." Shaggy he responds, "They must have like come back and cleaned it up. They were like 18 feet tall." Daphne says, "Shaggy, please, Lieutenant, we're not just some crazy." Shaggy taps on Raimondo's notebook. And Shaggy says, "And they had eyes that were fire. Write that down." A wholesome couple, happy and in perfect condition, walk out of the hotel. Shaggy and Daphne stare, unnerved. Raimundo says, as who by name has disappeared? Daphne says, "Our friends, Velma Dinkley and Fred Jones." And Shaggy says, "And every other guest here, except, I guess, those two." Another 20 students emerge from the hotel, laughing, prepared for a day of fun in the sun. All the students, once punk, burnouts, and hippies, are now clean cut. Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby are shocked. Engu, the albino, approaches the Coast Guard.
Engu, officers, is there a problem of some sort? These folks claim their friends were abducted last night. Engu laughs. What's so funny? Engu says, they have obviously mistaken our monster show for something from their real lives. Raimondo, monster show? I must never pass up opportunities to show the local constabulary a demonstration of our very frightening presentation. Come. Holiday Inn lobby moments later. Engu, the Coast Guard, Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne stand in the lobby. It is also in pristine condition. Engu, at the time of midnight, the show begins here. The kids are hanging out. They are having the fun times. Then, all of a sudden, a demon bursts out of the closet. It's a man of normal height with a worn, torn costume, a very poor approximation of the demons the night before. A zipper runs down its back. Its blinking red eyes are fashioned from Christmas lights. Demon. Grrr, grrr. Engu mocks fear. Oh no, what's happening? It is an actual demon from hell. And then
Two more guys in costumes run out of the bar. One is a mummy. The other wears a pink rabbit costume with fangs glued to it and a thick frown drawn with a sharpie over its eyes. They growl and wave their arms in an unconvincing manner. Engu says, "Oh no, what am I going to do? I'm forced into throwing peanuts." In a frightened panic, Engu throws a bowl of peanuts at his monsters. As the mummy clutches his eye. Well, he says, "Ow." Engu said, "But it does no good. My life is in danger. They're coming to eat my soul." The monsters crowd in on Engu. The demon bumps into a coffee table. Engu turns to face the officers. As he says, "See, this is all that happened." Shay says, "But like that isn't what happened, like at all. They weren't bad actors in costumes." The rabbit says, "4 years at Yale drama, pal." Shaggy says, "These guys have zippers on their backs." Andrew says, "Yes, but in the darkness of night. Oh ho." Shaggy I says, "Last night they were big." And you go to Raimondo says, "As one of our actors, Stewart, is not here today. He is a 6'3". You don't want to meet him in the dark alley."
Shaggy. They had teeth. They breathed green. The demon presses a bulb under his arm, and a green spray sprays out of a tube in his chin. Raimundo returns his notebook to his pocket, gives Shaggy a hard stare, and speaks to Fitzgibbon.
Who?
Let's go.
Who's Fitzgibbon? I'm guessing that must be a earlier name for Raimondo.
I have no idea. Daphne says, Lieutenant, our friends Fred and Velma are missing. Now, until that mystery is solved, I suggest you unholster your notebook, okay? Mummy, Fred and Velma? I saw them this morning over at Dead Mike's. Daphne gawks at the mummy. Dead Mike's Sports Bar, later. Dead Mike's is a bright, splashy island bar, a mixed aesthetic of sports teams and horror. Awesome. Its logo is a neon skull with baseball bat crossbones. We hear the music of Spandau Ballet's True. Dead Mike's Sports Bar, later. Fred sings karaoke melodramatically into a microphone. His ascot is gone. His hair is shorter above his ears. Fred, so funny how it seems always in time, but never in line for dreams. Head over here, head over heels when toe to toe. This is the sound of my soul. This is the sound. Velma enters frame, also with a microphone. Her hair is in a bun. She wears makeup and a sundress. She thrusts her fist in front of her, singing with gusto. The crowd whoops in applaud.
Almost says, "I bought a ticket to the world, but I've now come back again." Fred and Velma say, "Why do we find it hard to write the next line? Oh, we want the truth to be said." Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne stand at the rear of the crowd, staring in numbed shock. Raimundo and Fitzgibbon are with them. Velma and Fred grip hands as they sing the chorus together. Fred slash Velma, huh, 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 huh. We know this much is true. Huh, 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 huh. We know this much is true. Shaggy says, Zoinks! They've been brainwashed. The demons have a hypno wheel. Daphne, confused and disturbed, says, I'm going to the ladies' room. Raimundo and Fitzgibbon start to leave. Shaggy says, wait! Shaggy notices a pretty young girl beyond on Raimundo. She's clapping and singing along with Fred and Velma. Shaggy says, Isabel! Isabel turns towards him. Her hair is now straight down and conservative. Her makeup is tasteful eyeshadow. Their clothes are colorful sweater skirt combo. And Isabel says, oh, hi. Shaggy says, you're here? Why'd you leave that phone message?
Isabel giggles. I just thought the show was real for a minute and whoopsie. Shaggy, what happened to your hair? Your clothes? It was time for a change. I mean, golly Wally, I'm a teenager. We change all the time. Shaggy stares at her, confounded. He spots the Coast Guard walking out the front door. Wait here, okay? Just wait. Dead Mike's woman's restroom. Moments later. Daphne stares at herself in the bathroom mirror. The faucet is running. Daphne. Okay, Daphne. Chill out. There's some reasonable Oh, God. She leans over. She splashes water on her face. She lifts her head. Zarkos, the masked wrestler, is in the mirror. He's standing behind her. He grabs her. He quickly pins her to the floor in a wrestling hold. Daphne. No fair. Let go. This doesn't count. I didn't have time to summon my chi. Dead Mike's Sports Bar. Day. Shaggy and Scooby follow Raimundo and Fitzgibbon as they pace quickly away from the bar.
He says, listen, there's something wrong with this place. You have to take all of us with you off this island. Fitzgibbon and speaks into a walkie-talkie. Hey, Moira, do a check on Norville Shaggy Rogers from Coolsville, Maryland. Shaggy says, if you knew Fred and Velma or my cousin, you'd know that was even weirder than 18-foot demons. Like, who says Golly Wally? Raimundo says, who says Zoinks? And Scooby says, good roint. Let's give it into the walkie-talkie. Says, yeah. Thanks, Moira. Raimundo says, Roger's got a jacket. Fitzgibbon says, no, but the dog has 3 sheets. He's wanted on leash law violations, overdue vaccines, no registration, and 2 acts of defecating in the park. Shaggy says, Scooby! Scooby shrugs. I had to go. Raimundo says, yeah, Rogers, we'll take you with us. But if we do, we gotta put your mutt to sleep.
No!
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Wait, I think it cut off the top part. There we go. I'm not Ryard. Shaggy. Sleep, Scoob. Like what happened to Scrappy? Scooby yelps and bites his nails. Shaggy stops following them. He watches them go. He grudgingly starts back towards the bar. Raimundo and Fitzgibbon turn the corner of the bar, and Tana and a horde of tough henchmen are standing there waiting. What the? Dead Mike's Sports Bar. Moments later. Shaggy and Scooby enter. The place is suddenly abandoned. The stage is empty. The sports horror theme is decidedly more spooky. Dummies in pro team uniforms hang from nooses. A giant shrunken head in a football helmet also dangles from the rafters. Shaggy. Yep, yipes. Where'd everyone go? Scooby sees Fred through a small window on the kitchen door. He bounds towards the door. Red! Dead Mike's kitchen. Scooby enters the twin doors. He sees Fred, Velma, Isabel, and some college students gathered around a small table eating cereal. Fred, hey Scooby, you guys missed a real kicky time last night. Ricky Rhyme? Shaggy enters behind Scooby-Doo.
For a second, I thought that said kinky. I was like, what? That was
That's what I had to
wild.
stop myself for a second. I was like, that's not what that says.
It'd be very strange if it said that with the way they turned these people into conservatives. Fred says, the fellows in the demon costumes took us back to the cavern, and we all had some scrumptious chocolate cake. Shaggy says, how could those be costumes, Fred? Where's your ascot? Velma, you're wearing makeup. Velma says, doesn't a girl have a right to look pretty every now and then? Everybody laughs. Shaggy and Scooby look nervously at them. Velma turns away from them, gazing out a kitchen window, her back to them. Velma says, you know, one thing those monsters did was pretty scary. Scooby stares at her, wondering. Velma says, that blood-curdling scream they let out before they attacked. Scooby says, a ream? Velma looks over her shoulder at a confused Scooby-Doo. Velma says, you know, sort of like... Velma opens her mouth and releases a loud, piercing screech. Her eyes wash over into a bright red. Shaggy and Scooby holler. They look around them. Fred stands, throwing back his chair. Isabel jumps onto the table, crouching like a panther. Their eyes are all red. They all screech. Fred says, Rex not cal in teltopera exkenhuman Ryko. Probably mispronounced that, but whatever. Scooby and Shaggy run on the possessed humans take chase. Shaggy trips, but the horde just runs over his body. They seem only to care about Scooby.
Scooby gallops towards a bucket of pine sol at the end of a long industrial metal table for preparing food. He scoops up the bucket and throws it on the metal counter. He jumps onto the counter, the pine sol a lubricant easing his slide down its length and towards a fire exit. Scooby slides past a long hero sandwich and out of frame. Quickly, Scooby reemerges in the frame. The sight of the sandwich has made him forget everything. Scooby says. Just typical Scooby moment.
Mm-hmm.
Scooby grabs a piece. Shaggy yells at him from the floor. Forget the sandwich. Get out of here. Scooby sees the horde nearing him. He leaps off the counter towards the fire exit. He slams through it. The fire alarm sounds. Exit. Cliff behind Dead Mike's. Scooby runs out onto a small area of grassland. The rear of Dead Mike's site directly on the end of an enormous cliff, hundreds of yards up from the rocky ocean. Scooby almost runs off of it. He turns to see his possessed friends circling him. He's standing on his hind legs, trapped. Dead Mike's kitchen. Shaggy can see out the open door where the possessed humans approach Scooby. He searches around the room. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh. Shaggy looks at the wall phone. It has a very long cord. He snatches the receiver off the hook. He ties the cord around his waist. Shaggy takes a deep breath. He darts outside.
One thing I seem to really notice with this version of the script is there seems to be a lot more product placement than what
Oh
we
yeah.
actually end up getting. Like it's crazy amount of things that they just name drop. Exterior cliff behind dead mics. Shaggy runs between the possessed humans. Shaggy says, "Hold on, Scoob." Shaggy grabs Scooby and jumps with him off the edge of the cliff. If Scooby clamps onto Shaggy, they fall, screaming for a bit. It's an extraordinarily long phone cord. Then they snap to a sudden stop. Shaggy and Scooby peer down at the waves crashing up against the rocky cliffs. They swing back and forth. Shaggy, he says, "This stinks." Scooby gazes up at the red-eyed humans growling. Scooby says, "Ryar, Relma, and Red in Ruck a rad mood." Shaggy says, "They're not in a bad mood." Scooby, "They're like demons." Scooby says, "Remons?" Scooby screams at the top of his lungs for a long time. Shaggy stares at him, nonplussed. They start to rise. They look up. Fred is slowly yanking them back up. Shaggy fishes in his pocket for sight. He pulls out a Red Cross knife. Shaggy says, "Remember when we took those diving lessons, Scoob?" Shaggy starts to cut the phone cord. Scooby says, "Row?" This guy, Shaggy says, "No." The cord is cut. Shaggy and Scooby scream as they fall. Scooby plummets, spinning in the air, trying to get his bearings. Finally, he does. He dives straight down. Shaggy and Scooby hit the ocean.
Underwater. Shaggy and Scooby submerge deep into the water. Beach. Moments later, Scooby and Shaggy lope onto the shore. Scooby rubs his head in pain, a bit angry. Scooby, red. I what? Red. You know, Scoob, that's the type of thing that that's like a little bit like not grateful, don't you think? It roots. I just saved your life, man. You re off a riff. I went back for you, which is unlike, I'll tell you this, man, very unlike what you did when I got stuck in that vase. You just ran away like a little baby. Roro Riddle, Ravy. You are. Shut up, Scooby. Velma's right. You are a moron. Scooby is very hurt by this.
Scooby says, "Rat?" Shaggy says, "You heard me." Scooby tears in his eyes, picks up a handful of sand and throws it at Shaggy. So he's, "Hey!" Scooby says, "I rate Rue." Scooby darts away from Shaggy, crying. So he's, "Scooby!" Scooby disappears into the forest. Shaggy spots thick metal cables running along the shoreline. They lead into a dark hole in the mountainside. Shaggy says, "Hypno wheel." It's Scooby, while you're in there moping, I'm gonna go see where these cables go. Exterior hole in cavern. Moments later, Shaggy follows the metal cables into a short hole in the side of the cavern. He crawls into the hole. Interior cavern catacomb. Shaggy can barely see. We hear a scream. He stands inside doorways, lining the walls, similar to where Isabel was in the beginning of the film. He uses his hand to follow the cables on the ground. Suddenly, he falls, sliding down an incline and into a gushing stream. Shaggy tries to stay above water, looking to the hole above him. Shaggy he says, "Scooby!" He drifts through a dark cavity leading into a cavern.
Cavern belly. Moments later. The stream ends in a pool in this cavern belly. which is hundreds of yards in diameter and hundreds of yards high. Shaggy stops by a boulder pile beside the pool. He crawls to his knees. He spots the metal cables emerging from the pool. He peeks around the corner of the boulder pile to see where they lead. He spies something horrible. Raimondo, Fitzgibbon, and a few students are strapped by weathered leather straps and metal buckles into a rectangular wooden slab in the upright vertical position. 9 such slabs encircle the room. A hideous demon stands beside each of the slabs. Raimundo struggles against the straps. Get me out of here! The cables lead to a control station, a rusty metal box with a door and a large lock. Zarkos uses a key, exactly like the one hanging from Mondavarius's belt, to open the door. He steps into the control box. He puts his hand on the controls there. The Soul Snatcher, an upright metal device with an enormous pincer on the end, is in front of the control station. Zarko works the controls. The pincer cranes upward. Zarkos guides the pincer towards Raimondo's chest. No! The pincer, mystically that is, without bodily injury, enters Raimondo's chest. The pincer glows. It twists, digs, searches for something. The pincer clamps shut. Raimondo's body falls limp, but strangely though, his mouth has stopped moving. We still hear him, muffled screaming. The pincer emerges from his chest, pulling something translucent, white and incandescent out of Raimondo. It yanks the substance like warm taffy through a pinhole. Eventually, it's free. We gaze upon Raimondo's soul. I guess they tried to say it looks like, but they spelled likes twice. So it looks like Raimondo's head with a wispy spiral tail. He is still screaming. He stops when he sees his own limp body in front of him. Hey, what the? You're taking my soul out of my body?
The demon standing beside Raimondo's body shoves his head down the throat. He shoves his arms inside. It's an ugly sight, but he gradually squeezes his whole shape through Raimondo's mouth and into the soulless husk. The pincer swings Raimondo's soul over to the soul stew, an 8-foot high rusty iron van, and that it's in the center of the room. It's filled with a white mystical brew. Dim voices echo from it. The pincer stuffs Raimondo's shell-shocked soul into the soul stew. Raimondo's body's his eyes open. Workers unstrap him. Raimundo manipulates his face, getting used to being in the body. He rotates his shoulders. He sits up. Raimundo says, "Act Orton." He wiggles his fingers in stilted English. "Fleshy," he says. Shaggy sinks back against the boulder, afraid to even breathe. Exterior forest. A muddied Scooby crosses the forest. He hears Daphne yelling, "Scooby!" Daphne is crouched in the bushes beside him. Scooby says, "Daphne!" Tears well up in Scooby's eyes. Scooby says, "Raggy were my reelings." Daphne extends her hand towards Scooby. Daphne says, "It'll be okay. Come with me, puppy." Scooby hesitantly puts his paw in her hand. He looks behind him to see if Shaggy is followed. Daphne's eyes turn red behind him.
Daphne, no. Cavern belly. Shaggy continues to watch from behind the boulder pile. Upon the upper crust code who sat next to Scooby on the plane, appears in a doorway. Bort Imin Tarkin, the possessed Coast Guard and student follow her through the doorway. Everyone's gone. Shaggy takes a deep breath for courage. He steps out of the pool of water. Shaggy creeps up the steps to the soul stew. He puts his hand on the edge of the vat, peers down into it. Zoinks! Overhead shot. Inside the vat are hundreds of souls, white translucent faces, swirling, agonized, screaming and chattering and whispering their secrets. Shaggy notices Velma's soul circling. Velma's soul. Shaggy, give me a hand. Get me out of here. It circles up and away from Shaggy and then swings back around again. How? Velma's soul. Don't tell me all those years of video games haven't given you eye-hand coordination. Shaggy, fearfully yet with amazing reflexes, plunges his hand in the vat and snatches up Velma's soul. He holds it up. She's dizzy. Oh man.
He says, Fred said it was a hypno wheel. I would have never come if I knew there was a thing that pulled you out of you and put a mean thing inside of it. Velma's soul says, stop with the technical jargon. And Shaggy says, what? Velma's soul says, get the others. They should be on the top layer since we were the last one put in there. Shaggy says, what about you? Velma says, if my instincts are correct, just let me go. We'll meet you at you on the beach at the base of the mountain. Shaggy says, let go? Velma nods. Shaggy, unsure, releases her soul. She shoots away in a dazzling trichoromantic streak of light and out of the cavern. Exterior forest. Evil Daphne and her cohorts carry a bamboo pole with an upset Scooby tied upside down to it. He gulps. Evil Velma follows, overseeing things. They all sing. He would sing, correcta gort an alda soy. Go bali lala gingo boy. A refa more a arc ot this demon world forever be. A multicolored streak of Velma's soul zips between them, behind them, and smack into the possessed Velma's face. None of the other humans notice as she's knocked off her feet. Velma's soul oozes into the mouth of the prone Velma and travels through her neck like a rat through a snake. The body quakes, and suddenly
a monstrous demon springs from her chest. Slats of daylight stream down through the limbs of trees besides the demon. Where the light meets the demon's body, the demon burns. He opens his mouth to scream, but instead explodes into glowing protoplasmic chunks. Velma covers her face to protect herself, but the chunks dissipate into nothing. She looks at the others still carrying Scooby down the forest path. They've noticed nothing. Cavern belly. Shaggy snatches another soul out of the vent. It's a man's soul. Man's soul. You've saved me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Shaggy. Sorry, I'm looking for my friends. Shaggy stuffs the man's soul back into the stew. He grabs another. It's Fred's soul. Shaggy holds it upside down by its wispy spinal tail. Fred is, to say the least, rattled. Listen, man, I think someone spiked my root beer with crack last night and I'm having, a bad trip. Shaggy. Shh. Fred's soul. Talk me down, pal. I'm having a bummer. Shh. A demon took over your body. A demon? Shaggy, cut the superstitious claptrap. At the end of every paranormal claim, there's only fool seeking fame, paranoid
He says, Fred, you're frigging, frigging, you're a frigging see-through protoplasmic head. Shaggy looks around, afraid someone heard. Oh, Shaggy says, sorry. Shh. Bye. Fred, Soul says, what? Shaggy releases Fred's soul. It flies off in a colorful streak. A interior Fred's hotel bathroom. The possessed Fred is in a steamed up shower, sponging himself and singing along to the song on the radio. Oh, Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world. Fred's soul whooshes into the bathroom. It smacks against the shower door and bounces off. Fred's soul, ow! Unable to get into the shower, it flies out of the bathroom. Interior Fred's hotel room. Fred's soul ricochets around the hotel room. Fred's soul, ow, 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 ow. Then it bounces out the open window. Interior cabin belly. A Shaggy yanks Daphne's soul out of the vat. She's pissed. As Daphne's soul says, put me back, Shaggy. I don't want to be saved again. I'll figure out a way myself. Shaggy says, like, how?
I don't know, use my tongue as an oar to swim to the edge. Exterior catacomb corridor. Daphne and the other demons carry Scooby on a bamboo pole into the staff door Isabel and Mandy sneaked into at the beginning of the film. Velma tails them. She leaves the door open behind her. Catacomb corridor. Moments later. The possessed humans carry Scooby down the corridor. They pass a few doorways. Velma spots a bright, streaking soul approaching. She hops ahead of the rest into a small room as they pass it. Velma surreptitiously yanks in the possessed Daphne. The rest of the humans walk by without noticing. Interior small catacomb room. The room is very dark. The soul flies into Daphne's face. Daphne's body shivers. An enormous demon pops out of her chest, only this time he doesn't explode. The demon looks at Daphne. John Lovorion, Cantu, human! The demon picks up the confused Daphne by the neck and slams her against the wall. Looks like you could use a little sun. The demon turns angrily towards Velma. Velma has her hand on a light switch. She flicks it. The demon gazes worriedly at the ceiling's flickering fluorescent bulb. He explodes into dissipating chunks. Velma looks at Daphne.
Velma says, as the demons can't survive the light. That's why they need our bodies. Are you all right, Daphne? Daphne says, not quite. Velma says, you're not all right. Daphne says, no, I'm all right. But I'm not quite Daphne. I'm Fred. Velma stares at her. Daphne says, I couldn't get into my body. I panicked. I didn't know where else to go. It's difficult to steer when you're a spirit. Velma snickers as Daphne mood shifts as she realizes sign. She rubs her hands over her sides. She smiles. It says, I can look at myself naked. Holy God, I can try out things I never imagined in even most outlandish fantasies. There's a slam against the door, or Velma opens it. Daphne's soul flies into the mouth of her body. Fred's soul instantly pops out of her chest and zooms out of the room. Interior Fred's hotel bathroom. Fred steps out of the shower, drying himself, still singing. He looks up, surprised, and sees Fred's soul zooming towards him. Fred's soul says, bite me. Fred's soul slams into his mouth, knocking him over. Well, that was
Daphne,
an interesting. Like, it really is so creepy when they AP with knowing the kind of person the Fred is in this script.
I hate who he is in this script. I really do.
Oh yeah.
Daphne stares at Velma, upset. She shudders. He was in my body. Did he touch anything? Just your boobs a little bit. Daphne does her best to pretend she's aghast, but she's obviously a little turned on. Velma peeks out the door. Coast is clear. Let's go. Interior cavern belly. Shaggy leans over the vat, searching fruitily. Isabella? Isabel! Shoot! Shaggy hears something at the doorway. Zarkos enters the room. He doesn't see Shaggy tiptoeing, disappearing through a passageway behind him. Interior dungeon. Later. Scooby is using a white rock to scrawl a huge equation on the cavern wall. It reads 12 plus 7 equals a drawing of Pikachu.
I love this bit so much of him keeping trying to figure out this equation.
I hope the end of this script is him actually getting the equation right. The metalhead and two other possessed humans are playing a game at folding table using sinister looking octagonal cards. The metalhead's long locks are now a crew cut. Scooby catches his eye through the rusty metal bars between them. He points to the equation. The metalhead sees it and mellowly shakes his head now. No. Scooby looks around the murky dungeon. A mischievous look crosses his face. He has an idea. Scooby clutches his heart. He wheezes. He's pretending to have a heart attack.
Who says, "Right, I'm riding." The guards stare blankly at him from their seats as he stumbles back and forth melodramatically. Scooby flips onto his back. He gasps for air like a dying fish, raspy and without shame. And then he, quote unquote, dies. The possessed humans continue staring, unmoved. After a moment, Scooby squints his open one eye. Metalhead says, "It didn't work the first 8 times you did it either." Scooby says, I really am dead, Rise Rhyme." Metalhead says, "Then why are you talking?" Scooby slaps his paw to his face and says, "Rupid." Engu opens the door beside the metal head to Scooby. Engu says, "Mr. Doo, Mondavarius will now be seeing you." Exterior hole in cavern, evening. Shaggy steps out of the hole and onto the beach. He looks up and sees Fred, Velma, and Daphne standing, waiting for him. He stops, staring at them with resigned trepidation. Shaggy says, "Tell me you're you." Daphne he says, "Fred took over my body and touched my boobs." Fred says, "They were itchy, and admit it. You're into the thought."
Continued. Shaggy continues out of the hole, nodding. You're you. Did you get Isabel? She's like, must have been at the bottom of the pot. I couldn't see her. Where's Scooby? They can't look at him in the eye. What? Interior catacomb office. Engu opens a door. He leads Scooby into the room where Isabel was captured. Scooby is surprised by the craggy walls blanketed with Scooby-Doo memorabilia, photographs from his life, magazine articles, and so on. It's like my room. Mondavarius sits at a desk covered in gewgaws, and clashing colors. I have no idea what that means. He drinks a cup of tea. Leave us alone, Engu. Engu bows, departs. Scooby points at himself on the cover of Dog Fancy magazine. Rattery! He spots a photo of himself as a puppy with Shaggy. Rattery! Montevarious indicates a table with velvet cloth draped over it. My friend, join me. Truth awaits.
Exterior beach. The gang have set up camp. Fred makes a fire out of twigs. Aids Velma says, as Daphne says, you have some pages in Latin from Montevarius's castle. Shaggy says, oh, right. Shaggy removes the wet pages from his pocket. He hands them to Velma. She looks at them. The gang gathers around. Shaggy looks regretful. Shaggy says, I shouldn't have yelled at Scooby. Velma says, this isn't really Latin. It's a derivative of Latin. Daphne says, can you read it? And Velma says, most of it, yeah. Interior catacomb office. Montevarius removes the velvet sheet to display a small, all-scale model of the cavern belly. He complete with a miniature soul stew, soul snatcher, and future demons, and etc. Scooby says, Rito. Montevarius shows Scooby parts of the model. Montevarius says, the vat is comprised of human souls. We call it the soul stew. Scooby licks his lips, hungry. True. Scooby says, as Montevarius responds. At midnight tonight, through occult incantations, we invoke the soul tube.
Montevarius flicks a switch on the side of the model. A holographic tube of souls pops up from the stew. It reaches up to the ceiling. Scooby looks up at it. He playfully dips his paw into it. The soul tube is a shuttle, if you will, between Earth and the demon realm. I've used sorcery to summon low-level demons over the years, but only through this tube can we transport the demon Rex. Montevarius flicks another switch. A red holographic demon Rex slowly descends through the tunnel of souls. Scooby points to a plaster kitten with a spring for a neck on Montevarius's desk. What's that? That's a cat with a bobbing head. Scooby slaps its head, making it bob. It amuses him. Please don't touch it. It has nothing to do with this. Montevarius flicks another switch. Holograms of other demons follow the demon Rex down the tube. The demon Rex issues a powerful magnetic force which draws every other demon in a wake onto our Earth. Then, exterior beach, Velma reads the pages. The demons shall disperse over the earth, replacing every human soul with a superior demonic one.
Interior catacomb office. Montevarius is exuberant. Montevarius says, all human souls, that is, with the exception of myself, Zarkos, and Engu Tuhana. We shall be the Demon Rex's human acolytes. Scooby doesn't quite get it. Scooby says, Raggy raw re raw ron. Montevarius says, don't you see? You mustn't worry yourself with these Eiffels any longer. Exterior beach. Velma continues to read from the book. Velma says, they can't do it without this quote-unquote Great Dane. And Velma flips the page to reveal an ancient illustration. It is a dignified, well-muscled version of Scooby-Doo. Above the illustration, it reads, Magna Canis. As Daphne, a voiceover says, Crikey. Interior catacomb office. Mondverius gestures to the Scooby paraphernalia around him. Mondverius says, "You're the chosen one, Scooby-Doo, handpicked more than 500 years ago." Scooby says, Rule.
We followed you every step since your puppy mill birth in Coolsville. Strange and wonderful occurrences have always surrounded you, yes? Yeah, yeah. You're a magnet for them, my hirsute friend. And at midnight tonight, most strange and wonderful of all, series of close-ups, demonic Rex, a blinking black eye, beady hollow, wet and evil. You will bequeath your body to the future lord and master of this earthly realm, talon fingers curling in on themselves. Our blessed demon Rex, praise be, a purple tongue slithering over a steely sharp beak. For this is why you were called into being. Back to Catacomb Office. You are the ultimate and holy bioorganic sacrifice. Scooby points his thumb at himself, grinning widely, too excited for words. He can't believe his good luck. I'm a wreck of rice? Exterior beach. Shaggy, Fred, Velma, and Daphne are in shock.
It's really interesting. I mean, it seems like this version of the script was actually pushing that Scooby is signed special. Actual, I'm not sure that this is going to actually go for towards like the Shaggy reveal or Scrappy reveal.
Yeah, especially
It
because,
feels like they actually were saying that he's this ancient, powerful being.
yeah. And earlier in the script, they said that Scrappy got put down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, like, which like they brought back this kind of idea with the Mystery Incorporated show.
Yeah,
Oh, so that's really cool. Daphne he says Scooby-Doo is the chosen one. Velma nods. Daphne says, and the demons are going to take over everybody at midnight. Velma says, that's what it says. Fred slumps down into the sand. Velma falls back against a tree. Daphne runs her hands through her hair. Shaggy says, well, come on, like, let's go. Oh, and Velma says, where? He says, to save Scooby and Isabel. Fred says, you want us to battle giant demons and save humanity? If you don't recall, Shaggy, our area of expertise is nut jobs and Halloween costumes. Shaggy says, well, I'm going to go save them, with or without the rest of you. Velma says, you can't be serious. Shaggy says, I'm totally serious. What's happened to us? We're supposed to be heroes. Velma says, I'm too scared to be a hero. Shaggy he says, I was so scared when Chickenstein jumped at me out of that coffin. I let loose a little dirt in my drawers. Blame the smell on Scooby. But still, I went back for Daphne.
Daphne looks at him, moved. Velma, Chickenstein wasn't real. Shaggy, they've all been real to me, man. Daphne, course is resistance to fear, not the absence of fear. Velma looks at Daphne. Mark Twain, Shaggy's right. All right, I'm into. Scooby's our friend, but we need the Velmster. Velma, the Velmster? You think you're going to sweet talk me with my own nickname? Crying, trying to make me feel like part of the group. Thinking, struck, you could set a trap. Interior barn. Evening. Velma opens a barn door to reveal a spotlight. Velma, we need a spotlight. Interior Holiday Inn room. Evening. Fred takes a mirror off of a hotel room wall and mirrors. Back to scene. Daphne. I could get on top of the cavern.
Interior gym. Evening. Daphne looks up at had repelling gear on the wall. Daphne, a voiceover says, as with some repelling gear. Back to scene. Shaggy says, "What about me? What should I do?" Fred smiles. He remembers sighing. Split screen, interior airport and cavern belly. On one side of the screen, Shaggy expertly works the crane machine at the Coolsville airport. On the other side, Zarkos controls a similar soul snatcher, dropping a soul into the soul stew. Fred at voiceover says, "I believe your vast knowledge of mechanical amusement devices will come in handy, my friend." Flashback. Interior cave cavern belly. Zarkos uses a key to unlock the gates surrounding the control station. Fred voiceover says, "But we need to get the key to the control box." Back to scene. And Shaggy, he says, Montevarius and Zarkos both have one. Fred nods. He puts his hands out in the center of the group. Shaggy puts his hand on his. Daphne puts her hand on Shaggy's. And Velma puts her hand on all of theirs. As Velma says, "Let's get jinky with it."
Interior. It says, humans adorn Scooby-Doo with garlands. They give him a manicure. A scantily clad woman feeds him Scooby snacks as if they were grapes. He's loving it. He sits on a gilded palanquin with a mattress and numerous pillows. He writes in a notebook considering his newest equation. 12 plus 7 equals AX2 N minus 2. Interior cavern passageway. Fred and Velma, wearing huge backpacks, are pretending to be demons. They each grip one of Scooby's arms. As if. Ooh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
They each grip one of Shaggy's arms as if he's their prisoner. Shaggy is scared witless. Shaggy, like, all right, you guys were right. Let's forget this. Come on, you chicken. Shaggy to Velma. We can't fool anybody. You don't look like a demon. To Fred, and neither do you. Fred has adopted a freaky, glassy-eyed stare. Shaggy, hey, cut that out. Fred, shh. Shaggy, it's spooky enough in here without you making that face. They turn a corner of the passageway and come to interior cavern niche. Mondavarius sits on a sheet metal throne. Zarkos superglues ceremonial stones to his sandals. Shaggy, ah!
Montevarius spots them, and Montevarius says, "You retrieved the beatnik. Escort him to the belly. Not that it matters. By the witching hour, they'll all be in our camp anyhow." Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne repels James Bond style from a tall tree down towards the mountain's roof of the cavern. She wears her leather eggplant bodysuit and has an enormous backpack. She lands on the mountain in a cat-like crouch. Interior cavern belly. Velma, Fred, and Shaggy enter into the enormous cavern. A demon stands beside one of the slabs as waiting to inhibit it's Shaggy's body. Shaggy's whispers through clenched teeth. Shaggy said, "As this isn't cool. How are you going to get rid of that guy?" Fred and Velva each draw two high-powered flashlights, one in each hand. They point the flashlights at the demon, and four small beams appear on the monster. His his skin smokes. And it's demon number 2. Garglog. He turns towards them angry. Demon number 2 says, "Humans, you can't kill me with beams that weak." The demon rushes them, moving faster and faster. Fred and Velma stand their ground. The demon gets closer. Fred and Velma slowly guide their 4 beams together into one spot into the demon's chest, intensifying its light. The demon grimaces in pain. He explodes. Jay says, that'll work.
Fred and Velma throw their backpacks onto the ground and begin removing mirrors. Fred, Shaggy, head into the passageway. Fred uses a tape measure and some chalk, marking off points on the walls and surrounding them. There? Me? Why? You have to pretend that you're being transformed into a demon. That's where they go afterwards. Velma hammers a nail into one of Fred's chalk markers. Shaggy, I'm not an actor. I don't know how to get all looking like a demon looks. Velma, just go, Shaggy, and then see if you can find Scooby. Interior demon makeover parlor. Moments later. The possessed Raymondo and the upper crust Cood are in this room. A dark H.R. Ginger beauty salon, repellent with mirrors, hair goop galore, reptilian appliances, etc. Shaggy smiles uncomfortably, not knowing what to say. Raymondo shoves him into the chair. He speaks to Shaggy. Frag orking ba lick? Shaggy stares at him, smiling nervously. He speaks in a somewhat shaky DJ-type voice. I'd like to practice the form of English, a thing known as a question. Sure.
He says, how do you tell the difference between a demon in a human's body and a human in a human's body? The co-ed ed says, that's easy. We don't sweat. The co-ed flicks on an otherworldly electric shears. Ears interior cabin comb corridor at night. Shaggy emerges from the makeover parlor, where he wears an Izoid shirt, khakis, and penny loafers. His hair is short, moosed, and perfectly feathered back. His goatee's gone. That's wild.
I can't believe they would do that.
He looks around the corridor. Humans move past him. He sees a perpetual enclave down the hall, where Happy Scooby is alone for a moment. He walks towards it. Preparatory enclave. Scooby sees Shaggy. His expression turns sour. Shaggy says, Scooby, they turned me into a total geek. Scooby says, I'm not rocking to you, to Rue. Rue railed a ron. Shaggy says, I'm sorry, Scooby. You're my best friend. And I shouldn't have, but we need your help. Scooby says, I'm not read to help you, Rue. Shaggy says, that's the only way we can get you out of here. I won't row. Rook, Ruby, Rax. Scooby holds up his bag of Scooby snacks. Shaggy automatically reaches for them. Scooby pulls them away.
Run for Rue. Ray me riff respect. Unlike Rue. They're fooling you, Scooby. Rorelius. Ray Ruby-Doo. I'm a rack of rice, he says proudly. A sacrifice? That's a... Shaggy sees a trio of humans approaching. He whispers, the wrestler has a gold key. Get it if you can. Put it, I don't know, under this mattress. Scooby just stares at him. Possessed humans push Shaggy out of the room. Interior cavern belly. Fred and Velma are hanging the last of the mirrors on the walls. The mirrors travel all the way around the cavern. Fred says, if this works, it could be even cooler than the time we kicked the living shit out of Dick Van Dyke with the cotton candy ghost. What?
What? What?
You mean the time we kicked the shit out of the cotton candy ghost with Dick Van Dyke? Fred stares at her, doubting. Fred, are you sure? A bleeding horn echoes through the cavern. Velma checks her watch. 1:45.
Possessed humans file into the cavern from numerous passages is encircling the cavern. Shaggy enters with them. He sees Velma and Fred and moves towards them. Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne props a large spotlight on a tripod. Interior cavern belly. The humans stand stock still in straight lines, staring at the direction of the vat. Fred and Velma, uncertain, line up with them. Interior library, Coolsville. Angel Fawn, night. Whom we recognize from Garrett's photos. Sits on it's a table in the library. She eyes a clock on the wall. She stands, and Angel removes a talisman from her skirt. It is a stone image of the Magna Canis, Scooby-Doo. Exterior or baseball lot, Kenya. Kenya students are playing basketball. One athlete dribbles down the court. He's blocked. He turns and tosses the ball to a player, but the ball bounces off him. A player is standing completely still, holding a Magna Canis, his talisman. An interior auditorium, New Zealand, and day. Teenagers perform Romeo and Juliet in front of a large audience. Romeo says his lines to the balcony. That I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. Romeo waits for Juliet's response, but she's staring like a zombie holding a talisman. Interior family dining room, Los Angeles, night. A brother and sister, Brian and Beth Ann, are standing holding talismans beside the dinner table. Their family is staring at them.
Well, this is certainly different. That would have been really cool to see in the movie if they actually did that.
Well, they did show that. So in the movie they did show that they were sending these demon people away from the island, but they just never showed them off the island.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We kind of just never found out if any of those people got their souls back or
Yeah.
Beth Ann, Brian, older brother, told you they've been acting weird. Interior cavern belly. Fred watches Mondavarius use the key hanging from his belt to open the control station door. Shaggy gets in line beside him. He whispers, I found Scooby. I told him to put the key under his mattress. Mattress? Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to. Oh, and another thing. Don't sweat. What? Demons in human bodies don't sweat. You can't control sweating. Sure you can. How? Just say, Shaggy Man, don't sweat. You can't do that. No one can do that.
I wish I could do that. I got overactive sweat glands, so I sweat all the time.
If only that was just the answer, was just to tell yourself not to sweat.
Shaggy says, I can. and pointing at Fred's hairline. I think that's a little bit of sweat right there. Fred says, I didn't start sweating until you told me I couldn't sweat. Interior preparatory enclave. If Zarkos enters the enclave, if Shaggy sees a key sticking out of Zarkos' pocket, just inches from his own face. He could grab it if he wanted. Scooby looks sad as memories travel through his mind. Shaggy a voiceover. Elmo's right. You are a moron. Mondvarious voiceover. You are the chosen one, Scooby-Doo. Shaggy voiceover. I'm sorry, Scoob. You're my best friend. Zarkos looks at the trio of possessed humans. Zarkos says, let's go. Interior cavern belly. A Mondvarious stands in the control station in box, wearing a ceremonial garb. RP closes his eyes in prayer. Mondvarious says, Demon Rex, this eve your sweet servants gather in worshipful anticipation of your coming rule. Musicians drum, they play creepy, Dr. Seussian ancient instruments made of wood and metal. They chant, and say, a ringy-o, a wad-o set. Shaggy, Velma, and Fred are the only ones who don't know the words. They try to fake it.
Continued. Human. Bingham, Tom, Nani, Fet, Feet, Re, Chemio, and Racco Ling. This is what we demons sing. Yaset la. This is what Shaggy's saying. Yaset la banani chala ba chemo yala. This is the thing that we say. Interior classroom, Norway. Day. Oh, wayfish Norwegian with a talisman chants beside her desk in a classroom of stunned students. Ro Rika Gort an Ella Soy go Bali Lala Gingohoy. Interior pub, Ireland. Night. An Irish lad holds the talisman, chanting along. Raifa More I H-O-T. Interior family dining room, Los Angeles. Night. Beth Ann and Brian chant beside at the table. This demon world forever be. Older brother, tell me that's not messed up. Interior cavern belly. Fred pretends to itch himself, wiping sweat from his face. Hinga hua karailan bolivan Terry Packington Rapopopo E and Lou and Rue offer praise to Scooby-Doo. Fred, I want to do your carrion, leaving hooray for tar. The Pope left the room, all for praise. What? Shaggy sees something in a passageway. Zarkos and the trio of possessed humans carrying the ceremonial adorned Scooby-Doo towards the center of the cavern belly. Scooby waves at the crowd as he passes, happy with his situation.
Scooby says, Rello, Rello, Rello. Rat wrong is ratty. Humans, this is what we demons sing. They slide the pelican into slots to top 4 short bamboo poles in front of the soul stew. Velma looks at Shaggy concerned. Velma says, something tells me he didn't get the key. He thinks this is a party. Humans, the demon world is forever be. The Zarkos in his charges is grab onto Scooby's arms and lays. Scooby looks suddenly worried. Scooby, wait a reckon. Humans, the demon world forever be. The quartet straps Scooby's arms and legs onto the pelican. and the rear bamboo poles holding the pelican and aloft rise electronically until the pelican and is vertical. Scooby-Doo is suspended in an X shape. Scooby says, Raggy! Humans and say, the demon world forever be. The possessed as humans all at once open their mouths and screech hellishly. Exterior grocery store, Tokyo. Oh, night. A Japanese woman screeches. Exterior fruit stand, Calcutta. Day. An Indian standing at an outdoor fruit stand and gripping a talisman screeches as people around him and grab their ears. Interior cavern belly. The entire cavern begins to tremble. Oh, Scooby gazes up at the ceiling, and Scooby ripes.
Series of shots. An emerald beam of light shines down on the talisman in Angel's hand. Her talisman explodes. The Norwegian Scooby talisman explodes. The same emerald beam shines onto her talisman. Beth Ann and Brian's talismans explode. Interior cavern belly. Mondavarius gazes up at the ceiling, grinning. A huge hole in the ceiling explodes, bursting upward directly over the soul stew. Exterior cavern belly roof. The spotlight topples to its side. Daphne covers her face. Rocks fly up past her into the night sky. Interior cavern belly. The soul stew rises behind a shivering Scooby-Doo. The soul's heads form a swirling soul tube of screaming human faces. It twirls, twists, gaining speed, boring up through the hole and towards the sky. Fred, Velma, and Shaggy watch the soul tube. Tremendous winds blow through the cavern. The bottom of the tube lifts off of the metal vat. It bends outward, an open cavity aimed into the room. Exterior cavern belly roof. Can you scroll down? Yeah. Daphne gazes up the long tube, leading further into the lightning-filled sky than she can see. Then she spots the Demon Rex, a gargantuan, fiery winged beast streaking down through the center of the soul tube, rushing towards us. His black eyes are deep-set, hollow, and wet. Deathly talons sprout from his wings. His thin, disgusting tongue flips up over his face, slithering over his steely, sharp beak. There is nothing beautiful about this creature, nothing tender, nothing good. He is full of joy. A hellish horde of demons in every shape, color, and size is on his tail. They yip and holler and howl.
Interior cavern belly. The demons emerge from the cavity at the bottom of the tube. Hades is cornucopia, and they swamp the room. Velma eyes Fred. Velma says, "Men in mask, you think?" And Fred says, "Wow, what if Bigfoot is real too? I wrote that whole book." Some of these creatures look like monkeys, small and thin and ice blue. They cling to the walls, yipping. Others are skeletal and smirking, with body parts absent. Others are diseased. They drip pus. Zarkos spots Daphne standing on the edge of the hole, pushing the spotlight upright. He is alarmed. Armed Demon Rex plants his his putrid body beside the shivering Scooby-Doo. He runs onto scaly talons below Scooby's chin, and Demon Rex says, "Good puppy." Mondavarius says, "Lord, it is an honor to meet you. I'm Mon." And Demon Rex says, "Work the machinery, simp." Don't waste time. Put me in the body. The demon Rex grabbed Scooby's face in his taloned hand. The demon Rex says, I'm gonna be wearing your spots. Mondavarius says, yes, Lord, Mondavarius pushes the levers at the control station. The giant pincer rises into the air.
Shaggy and a perspiring Fred start towards Mondavarius. Velma stops him. No, wait for the spotlight. That's the plan. Shaggy says, it was supposed to happen already. Mondavarius guides the pincer into Scooby's chest as Scooby whimpers. Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne aims the spotlight down through the hole. She directs it as a mirror on the wall. Suddenly, the mirror is knocked over by a blue monkey demon screeching with celebratory rage. Daphne, darn! Daphne hears something behind her. She turns. Zarkos is standing there. Senorita, caught you again with your chi. Without your chi, have I not? Zarkos barreled towards her. Daphne tries to kick him. He grabs her ankle. She falls to her back. Interior cavern belly. The pincer yanks Scooby's soul out of his body. The demon Rex opens Scooby's mouth like a lion tamer with a lion. He grins towards the crowd. Demon Rex, I've got my critics, but you gotta love this. The demon Rex dives into Scooby's throat.
Scooby's body begins to tremble. It burns black for a moment. Scooby's soul dangles from the pincer's grip. He sees his body. His wispy spinal soul tail wags. Scooby's soul, Ray, that's me. Eyeing Shaggy, says, Raggy, hey Raggy, look at me. I'm rushed ahead. Voluptuous winged female fish demon. That's a wild description. Tilts her head at Fred, staring quizzically. Fred sees her. His vision. His nervousness increases as he's sopping with precipitation. Inserts Scooby's soul in the soul tube. Scooby's body pulses. His nostrils flare. His brow thickens. His soft eyes turn dark, evil. He burns the red color of hot charcoal. He grows to 40 times his size. He snaps the straps and lands on the floor like a cat. This is the Scooby Rex, our childhood hero, filtered through Satan's eyes. His paw is the size of a man. Huge fangs protrude. He releases a terrifying growl. All the demons rejoice. Shaggy, Velma, and Fred gaze at the control station. The fish demon lowers in the air. They're in front of Fred, her wings flapping like a hummingbird. She points at him. The fish demon says, "This one's sweating." Fred had said, "Shaggy, get to the control box. Velma, fix the mirror. I'll see if Scooby put the key under the mattress." As Shaggy, Velma, and Fred take off in different directions.
Oh, the fish demon screeches behind them, pointing them out. The demons grab at Shaggy, Velma, and Fred. Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne does handsprings away from Zarkos. He handsprings after her, equally proficient. They stop in the same place, striking him. She strikes him. He strikes her. She goes to punch him. He grabs her arm. He flips her down. He kneels on her chest, pinning her there. Smirks. Interior cavern belly. Fred dodges the demons like a running back. Velma slides under a flying monkey, sweeping down at her. Shaggy is fast, diving between creatures. Then the Scooby Rex lands perfectly in front of him. The Rex stabs his enormous face into Shaggy's. Scooby Rex, who invited you to my sweet 16?
Okay. That's very random.
Exterior cavern belly roof. Zarkos holds down Daphne. He pulls a piece of rope from his belt. Zarkos, I'll bring you to the catacombs, tie you up, and use you for bait for whoever you're working with. Zarkos starts tying her hands. Daphne, not. Daphne frees her legs and kicks Zarkos in the head. Daphne, this. Zarkos stumbles. Daphne backflips to standing.
Time, she says. Zarkos comes towards her with one swift, flying, swirling kick into his chest. As she knocks him backwards, Zarkos stumbles backwards so that he almost topples into the hole in the roof. Daphne he grabs a terrified wrestler by his suspenders. She drapes him over the open hole. His boots barely graze the ledge. The soul tube the ode facilitates all behind him, and she puts her face in close to his. As Daphne says, "Now who's the damsel in distress?" Zarkos says, "Me?" Daphne says, "Straight up." Daphne drops him. She screams as he screams as he plummets to his demise. Interior cavern belly. Shaggy falls to the floor, or the Scooby Rex raises his paw over him to squash him, and then stops. He sees Zarkos falling into the pit. Fred runs towards the vertical pelican, and he leaps over a demon and onto a small platform beneath it. He rips away the mattress, which is attached by Velcro, and there, scrawled in huge letters, are on the woodboard. It reads, 12 plus 7 equals 19.
He got it right that
Finally
time.
got it. Zarkos' key rests on the inside rim, and Fred smiles. Scooby's soul twisting in the tunnel. Chuckles. Fred says, "Shaggy."
Scooby Rex looks down to squish Shaggy, but he is no longer there. He looks over and sees Shaggy standing at the control station. Fred tosses the key. It spins over the heads of the demons. Shaggy catches it. He goes to unlock the control station door. Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne flicks the switch on the spotlight. Interior cavern belly. The beam shoots down into the room. It eradicates a few demons flying in its path. The beam impotently hits stone where the mirror fell. Velma, however, is standing beneath the beam. She casually picks up the mirror from the floor. Demons are staring at her. Skeletal creep. Who are you? Velma, the Velmster. Monkey demon. What are you? B. Velma, I'm a hero. Velma thrusts the mirror high over her head. The spotlight strikes it. The beam reflects from the wall, mirror to mirror to mirror, throughout the room. A complex geometric pattern. It bursts through demons in its path, destroying almost all of them.
Shaggy shoves Montevarious out of the way. The control station controls they're identical to the arcade and crane controls at the airport. Or Shaggy confidently thrusts a lever to the side. The pincer swoops over in front of the Scooby Rex. Shaggy says, "It's one thing that you wanted to take over the world." Pincer jabs into disconcerted Scooby Rex's chest as it twists. As Shaggy says, "But you shouldn't have messed." As Shaggy wrenches his Demon Rex out of Scooby-Doo's body. He swings the Demon Rex into the bottom of the soul tube. Shaggy says, "With my pet." I feel like if I remember right, the actual film had it with as my best friend. And I think that works
Yeah.
so much better than him just saying my pet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shaggy opens the pincer. The demon Rex flies, screaming into the tube upward towards the sky. He's unable to grip it onto the sides with his talons. And the demon Rex says, "No!" All of the other demons, due to the demon Rex's gravitational force, are as, instantaneously yanked from their human forms. So bodies fall limp. And the demon whooshes into the tube behind the demon Rex. Interior pub, Ireland night. The Irish lad looks surprised for a moment, and then the demon soul is ripped from his body. It sweeps over the drinkers' heads and through an open window. Interior auditorium, New Zealand Day. The astonished crowd watches as a huge screaming demon flies over them and away from Juliet's body. A demon flies out an open window and exterior Auckland in New Zealand over the cityscape of Auckland and exterior Spooky Island. Demons rush in a blur to the island one by one. I'm just reading the next page.
No, you're so good. No, because it just kept going after that.
No.
But it says demons rush in a blur to the island one by one from all directions, streaming towards the mountain entrance. Interior cavern belly. Velma and Fred lie on the ground. They cover their heads as hundreds of demons whoosh over their bodies and up into the soul tube. And then it stops. The room is momentarily quiet. Exterior cavern belly roof. Daphne stands before the soul tube. It is no longer twisting. The faces aren't screaming. A woman's soul stares at Daphne. She appears peaceful. Daphne. Isabel? Isabel, thank you. The tube begins to crumble. The souls chip off, streaming away in trichromatic colors, off into the night sky. Interior cavern belly. Scooby-Doo's soul colorfully zooms across the cavern. Scooby-Doo's soul. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He splashes into his again normal-sized body, sparkling. In colorful bursts, the souls zip around, smiling. Velma and Fred smile.
He's
Oh wait,
smiling Velma and Fred, and then out
yeah,
through the
and out through the
cavern's
cavern.
walls.
Yeah, Daphne rappels down in through the hole of the roof. The colorful balls whoosh around her. Other souls enter other formerly possessed bodies on the ground. They wake, they rise.
Scooby-Doo paws playfully at the bright light balls zipping around his head. Scooby says, "It's beautiful." Velma smiles at Mandy as she helps her up. Fred gives Raimondo a hand. Exterior basketball lot, Kenya, day. The crowd watches as a colorful ball of light travels over their heads and lands with a sparkling burst into the prone body of the player. He opens his eyes, wondering where he is. Interior library, Coolsville night. Angel stands, running her hands over her body. Tears fill her eyes. Exterior pub, Ireland at night. The Irish lad whoops. He kisses a fat, ugly woman. Yep. The interior or family dining room, Los Angeles night. The older brother and father embrace Ethan and Brian. They're crying. The mother grabs Ryan's chin, and mother says, "We wondered where you went." Brian rubs his hand over his crew cut. Brian says, "I thought you wanted me to cut off my hair." The mother says, "We loved you the way you were."
Aw. Interior cavern belly. Everyone in the cavern is standing. Velma gives Shaggy a big bear hug. Someone taps him on the back. He turns to see Isabel. She's crying. Hey, cuz. Shaggy, Izzy! Shaggy and Isabel embrace. Daphne gives Fred a little punch on the shoulder. Daphne, we did it. Fred gives her a little punch back. Fred, yeah, we did. They stop, stare into each other's eyes. Their breath quickens as their desire rushes to the surface. They embrace and kiss passionately. Then, as quickly as it started, Daphne catches her lapse of reason and pushes Fred away. Daphne, Fred, cut your crap. Fred, aha, you kissed me back. Daphne, no, I didn't. Fred to a guy beside him. She used tongue. Daphne, he's lying. Scooby-Doo wanders nervously through the jubilation, looking for someone. He hears a voice behind him.
Shaggy says, Scooby! Scooby turns, tongue wagging, legs explain. Scooby says, Raggy! Scooby gallops towards Shaggy. He leaps flying through the air. He lands on Shaggy's chest, knocking him over. Scooby says, Ruby do good? Shaggy says, yes, you did. Scooby says, Ruby wrought a ruin? And Shaggy says, like, not at all, buddy. Scooby says, as Raggy rubs Ruby again. Shaggy says, I always did. And Scooby says, and Ruby loves Raggy. Scooby-Doo pins in Shaggy there, licking his face. Shaggy laughs and protests the huge tongue, trying to stop it, but Scooby just can't give his best friend enough love. Shaggy says, cut it out, Scoob. Engu appears over Shaggy. The nearly sobbing Montevarius is by Engu's side. Scooby gulps, and just like he did when Shaggy was stuck in the vase, starts to run away. Engu grabs Shaggy's neck. He lifts him off the floor. Montevarius says, You have eradicated a lifetime's worth of work. Kill him, Engu. Snap his neck like the weasel he is.
Shaggy can hardly breathe or speak. Scoob! Montevarius, that mangy rodent? Ha! He's a coward. Sniveling and shivering and shaking like so much. Montevarius and Engu hear a loud growling. They turn. Scooby-Doo stands, haunched. The fur on his back is sticking up. His fangs are exposed. He appears huge and frightening. Scooby, Reeve Raggy Roan. He barrels towards them. Montevarius and Engu's expressions drop. They scream. Scooby is a saber-toothed tiger leaping at his prey. Interior Coast Guard Station. Day. News footage. Press bulbs flash on Montevarius and Engu. They are handcuffed and thoroughly beaten up. A throng of correspondents gathers around the gang. They stick their microphones in Fred's face. Correspondent. Fred, can you tell us how you mastermind the apprehension of Raphael Montevarius? Fred. Yes, it all started when I was giving a speech at Coolsville, and Fred notices Velma standing quietly beside them, gazing at the floor. Fred. I think really that the Velmster should take it from there. The correspondents all thrust their mics towards a surprised Velma. Her eyes smile warmingly at Fred.
Velma says, yes, firstly, we don't believe there is any such person as Raphael Montevarius. We came to the conclusion that he's actually, with the dexterity of Vanna White, turning numbering letters. Daphne pulls off the Montevarius mask to reveal Garrett Rogers is Shaggy's uncle. It makes sense. He wanted Scooby-Doo to be part of his evil plan, so he prodded us into coming to Spooky Island. At least that's what we thought until we all Garrett in Coolsville, and he was still home. Consequently, this is another mask covering his real identity. He actually pulls off a carrot mask to reveal Fred Jones, who set up the whole situation just so that Mystery Inc. would return to the spotlight. Hand to Fred, who was hurt by the accusation. Fred says, "But I'm standing right here." Right, it was ludicrous that we suspected Fred, since we've often seen he and Monteverius together. So it could only be the one person so unmercifully nefarious as to concoct this evil scheme. Daphne yanks off the Fred mask to reveal. Velma says, "Don Knotts." Correspondent says, "Mr. Furley?"
And Don Knotts says, and I would have gone away with it too, if not for these meddling kids. They're horrid. You should have seen what that disgusting animal did at my Christmas party. R.E. Fred. And him, I figured out the mystery of Moody Manor, and he took all the credit. Fred, sorry, Don, but that's no reason to freak out like a jerk and kill humanity. Don Knotts, I am master of hell. All shall bow before my unyielding power, you stupid son of a bitch. The TV shuts off. Interior, Daphne's dining room. Day. Daphne removes the videotape from the player. Velma, Shaggy, Fred, and Scooby are sitting around a dining room table with empty plates and glasses. Shaggy is wearing a green t-shirt with a demon eating a baby's head on it. They applaud and laugh. Daphne, I know we've seen it before, but every time I really get a kick. Fred, Velmster did a bang-up job. It's no surprise that Yale offered her that professorship. Velma, you heard about Fred? You hear about Fred? They look at him. Not to toot my own horn, but I've pre-sold 200,000 copies of my new book, Why Skeptics Suck Ass. Shaggy, groovy.
Daphne looks at her watch, saying, "Shoot, I got to go. Sorry, I've got rehearsal." Oh, Fred says, "Rehearsal?" Yeah, he says, Daphne got cast as the lead in the new action flick, Mean Hard Revenge 2. Scooby-Doo does some kung fu moves. And Scooby says, "Ro, he, ra." Everybody laughs, not looking where he's throwing his hands. And Scooby chops Shaggy in the face. As Shaggy says, "Ow!" Scooby says, "Rory." Exterior Daphne's house moments later. The gang crosses the lawn towards their cars. The mystery machine is in the driveway. "Thanks for lunch, Daff." It says, "That was nice of you." Scooby says, Yeah. Ranks. Daphne says, "I hope we can make it a regular thing." Zelma opens her car door. She stops. Zelma says, "Shaggy, you didn't say what you were doing."
Oh, like nothing much. Scooby and me, we just got a, mysterious call. Daphne, a mysterious call? Shaggy, I don't know. They said they were from the Jello pudding factory and there were some sort of sightings of like a Jello chocolate pudding monster. They hung up. Yeah. Rello. Everybody stops and looks at him. Daphne, oh. Fred, well, goodbye, everybody. Shaggy, see ya. Velma, so long, folks. Daphne, bye. Scooby, right. Fred steps into the mystery machine. Velma gets into her Dodge. Daphne walks towards the door. Exterior, suburban street, moments later. Shaggy and Scooby head down the sidewalk. Daphne, Shaggy! They turn to see Daphne behind them. What kind of chocolate pudding monster? Velma pulls her Dodge in front of them.
Bella says, "That's what I was thinking. Is it a monster or could be a ghost?" Shaggy says, "Like probably just a man in a mask. And Fred, walking up says, oh, no, Fred, Ed says, don't jump to conclusions, Shag. Fred steps out of the mystery machine behind Shaggy. Fred says, if you expect it to be a man in a mask, then when it ends up being a protoplasmic alien life form, animating an edible substance, it'll take you unaware, perhaps shooting acidic wads of pudding at your head, tearing off your face. Shaggy said, that's exactly what Scooby said. And Scooby-Doo who gives Fred the thumbs up. Velma pulls out a cell phone, dials it. And Velma says, this sounds pretty serious. You might need, to the phone. She says, Sarah? It's Velma Inkley. I'm not going to be in for a couple weeks. Daphne says, right. I can always be in Mean Heart Revenge 3. Fred says, this could be dangerous. Someone of my physical prowess could come in handy, opening large doors, etc. Shaggy shrugs. Shaggy says, sure. Fred claps. The gang moves towards the mystery machine.
Ha! Chocolate pudding bastard, here we come. I'll drive. Velma, shotgun. Daphne, darn it, I was going to say that. Velma, why don't we all just ride in the front seat? Fred, Daphne, and Velma jump into the mystery machine. Scooby and Shaggy trot toward the van after them. Scooby looks up at his beatnik pal. Scooby, Raggy, there's no rocket rooting monster. Shaggy, like no Scooby, there isn't, but they all looked like sad. After all, it's better than chasing nothing with your friends than chasing something with no one at all. Scooby smiles. He bounced towards the mystery machine. Scooby, Ruby Dooby Doo. Scooby and Shaggy hop into the van. They close the door. Haha, do that again, Scoob. Ruby Dooby Doo. I'm going to start doing that, Fred. Daphne, Fred, please don't. Fred Jones.
Daphne says it's his thing. Why do you have to steal everybody else's thing? Fred says, sorry. Mystery machine hits the road. Oh, fade out. The end. So that was I like this a lot.
Yeah.
I wish we got this. I do think though that this second half is not nearly as good as the first half.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like there's
definitely so much more crazy stuff in the first half.
Yeah. It's like they slowed down on all of the shock factor in the second half of the script.
Yeah, it like this was it was definitely very interesting to see how this could have been different. And I kind of wish that we would have had like a moment near the end where someone actually mentioned to Scooby, "Hey, you got the answer right for that equation." It's like it like I want to see what Scooby's reaction would have been to finally getting it right.
Especially because like every single time before that time, he kept looking at people to see if he got it right.
So yeah, but was that the I think it's a fun reveal of Don Knotts, but I also like it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's like there's not really much that actually builds that up. So I kind of rather the Scrappy thing that we actually got in the actual film.
Mm-hmm.
But like I did still really like this. It's a lot. I'm kind of surprised that the body swap thing didn't go crazier.
Yeah.
Like I was like what we got in this script is pretty close to what we got in the actual film. With how
Yeah, mine
crazy
is
everything else is I was thinking it was gonna go absolutely wild.
yeah, mine is some like very minor changes, but it was like very small, not really that crazy.
Heck, it's actually there's even more I think in the actual film because like us in this we don't have the scene of them repeatedly switching between them and we only have that one time of like one of them get being in the wrong body
Yeah.
like in the actual film like we have this scene where they're all in all like four of them are together and they and they keep switching between them for a second I can um Shaggy is in Daphne's body or Velma's body, one of the two, and it's like
Hmm.
it's that just kind of surprised me that didn't go further, and I kind of wish it did go further because I think
Yeah.
there was a lot of fun that could have been had with that, and like oh, and like just like a more craziness that could have happened. I do think it's really cool this idea that yeah that instead of like in the actual film where it's just this bigger Scrappy-Doo, this is like a Satan version of Scooby at the end. I think that was
Yeah.
really cool.
I really honestly I would have loved to see that. I obviously still like the whole like demon
Oh
Scrappy.
yeah,
That was
absolutely.
so funny, but I feel like it would have been so cool to see that kind of Scooby because we never see
uh,
Scooby be anything but silly and cute and scared
oh
and
yeah,
not like this
there's
menacing demon monster.
oh yeah, I like I really do wish we could have actually seen this version of the film come out like though I do absolutely understand why they didn't make this the actual theatrical cut. I still think though that that there's probably some like actual like cut of this that exists. They just for some reason refuse to release it, which is
Hmm.
annoying. Like why not release it? I feel like people would
Yeah.
really enjoy it after all this time.
Especially because like we know that we have those deleted scenes of
Oh yeah.
Velma, so it's like what else do they have that they haven't released?
Also though, this this was this must be not the only previous version of script because because like you mentioned last time there was a big scene in the hotel that you were looking forward to that never happened
Yeah.
there's no scene of Daphne and Velma kissing which is something that we've heard many times it's part
Hmm.
of this is so I'm very curious about all that yeah this was a lot of fun getting to react to ooh, I I love when an adaptation of sci just allows itself to be super unhinged like this.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Um I also like a few years ago I read the a script from the pilot for the live action Powerpuff Girls that was going to be on the CW, and it
Hmm.
is crazy. Some of the
Oh
stuff that's in
gosh.
that.
I gotta
I
look into it.
oh yeah, definitely check that out. It's available online, and you should be able to find it. But yeah, any final things you'd like to say before we end this off?
Um, if the guys who made the actual live action Scooby-Doo ever see this, release
Yes,
release the original because
yes,
this was good.
absolutely.
This was good.
This was so much fun. I think like the only joke that's in it that I think particularly I'll be like like, yeah, let's not bring that back. Is like where Shaggy is like suggesting that him and Daphne just hang themselves.
Oh yeah, I didn't
Like
like
that
that
was
either.
like
I thought
why?
that was so unnecessary, and it was so dark.
Yeah,
I think
oh my god.
that was just not it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for this. I
Yeah,
really
of course.
appreciate it. And everyone, please check out Mari Does Horror on TikTok. And you want to tell people about all the other places they can find you?
They can also find me on my main Instagram, which is linked in the bio of my horror in my horror TikTok. And also, you know, that is linked to everything else. I have a link tree in my main TikTok, so definitely go check that out. Follow me everywhere else, like Instagram and my other TikTok pages. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. All right. So, thank you everyone for listening. If you like this analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this absolutely unhinged, insane script. So please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Maybe or game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Master John, signing off.